Anthony Grassi here for D2 Ticker at the 2025 NCAA Convention. Happy to sit down for another small college conversation with Matt Wilson, the commissioner of the Gulf South Conference. Matt, thank you for joining me.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity.
So we'll start with your FloSports deal.
Yeah.
You guys recently signed an extension. What is that partnership meant for the league?
Oh, it's been so good. You know, the Gulf South Conference was the first Division II conference to partner in FloSports with its current iteration when we brought all of our football regular season and all our GSC championships to FloSports several years ago. And that was kind of a toe in the water. And since then, we expanded it to basketball and volleyball. And this year now we're an all-inclusive, all-sports package with FloSports out through 2030. And it's just been absolutely great. It's an ideal kind of partnership because it is a true partnership. If the Gulf South is successful in its consumer video efforts, then FloSports is successful in its efforts as a business, and they've provided financial resources that we frankly weren't going to find another way. Have there been challenges? Certainly. It's not easy to put on a live production, and it's not easy to put on one that people expect to see these days, right? It's hard to add replay. It's hard to add 3 cameras. It's hard to do some of these things. Our schools have embraced it. That's a real credit to our sports information directors, our media and communications folks, and our video contacts. They've taken a tough situation and operationalized it really, really quickly. If it wasn't for that group, if it wasn't for our folks represented by college sports communicators, the CSC, we would not be as successful in this thing, but they have really done a great job, and we're excited to have been in front, and we think we're seeing the benefits of being a first mover and that it's been a great deal for the GSC.
How did the conference office kind of help work through some of those challenges as you went from kind of worked up to the standards of FloSports?
Yeah, so year one, we were just trying to figure things out, and that was a hard year. After that, we adopted minimum production standards, which our schools all got behind, and we're achieving at over a 90% clip in every single game of meeting our minimum production standards across all sports, which I didn't think we'd be able to do. Again, credit to our schools for being able to do that. But our staff has been good. Mike Anderson and Jason Oliveira on our staff led early in that effort. In the last year, we've added an assistant commissioner for video, Angelo Pontello, and his sole focus is making sure that our FloSports productions are meeting minimum standards, supporting those schools, and then making sure our championship experiences, which we produce at neutral sites, meet what our fans are used to seeing on campus sites. So really thankful that we've got a good team there, and glad that we were able to lead and that we had built enough trust from our membership that they would say, okay, I'm not sure about this, but sounds good, let's go for it.
You mentioned being a first mover in the media rights space for Division II, or one of the first movers for FloSports specifically. Was there a first mover advantages for being with Flo?
Yeah, I think there were. We were able to be seen as a leader again, which is good. The Gulf South is innovative. We love to embrace technology. We love to make things better for our student athletes and our fans. So that was part of it. There was financial benefit to being an early adopter, right? We were able to leverage our FloSports deal to the maximum amount for us. And I think because they wanted to break in, they gave us some assistance, whether it was shoulder programming in the first couple of years where we had a live 20-minute show that was produced from FloSports following the week in the GSC, to other type of shoulder programming, and it really helped separate us. But now we're glad to be one of several Division II conferences that are in FloSports, and have now helped them launch FloCollege, which is a totally different platform committed to their college rights that they hold. And with the South Atlantic Conference, the GLIAC, and the CCAA, the Lone Star, and the NE10, we're just really excited to be part of that group, waving that flag, and I think there's going to be more to follow.
Do you think, has the FloCollege launch, have you seen any impact from that thus far?
We have. Our fans seem very satisfied. The idea behind FloCollege was more of an end user solution, so that it looked like some of the bigger sports streaming models. It was difficult to find content early. That's one of the things we heard from a lot of people. If they were a broad Valdosta State fan, it was easy to find Valdosta State football, but if they wanted to go from the football game and catch the volleyball, it took 3 or 4 links and clicks. And now on FloCollege, it's a great user interface. You can favorite an institution, and everything that comes up with that institution ID pops for you. You can find it right away. It looks very much like some of the other big brands that you might see providing digital streaming.
I'm curious, maybe either before the initial deal or maybe before you signed the extension, How did you evaluate what the right partner was and what led you to Flo?
So initially, the very first Flo deal, we were coming off having a weekly linear television game of the week. The Gulf South Conference had the longest running linear television deal in Division II. It had been on regional sports networks, and then eventually we moved it to ESPN3, which was a kind of a forerunner to Plus, and that wasn't a winner, right? They were allowing us to stream on their product, and we got to keep the inventory, and inventory sales is hard on streaming device. It's hard to know what that's value is.
Right.
Flo came in with a different model, of a rights fee model, where we knew we were gaining some financial revenue. So they seemed to be a natural. We wanted to try it in football. It went okay. And after year 2, I was of the opinion we needed to add basketball and volleyball. Those are easy sports to produce. You're indoors. There's no uncertainty. A lot of automated camera solutions now from Huddle and others. Should be a no-brainer. Some pushback from the membership because of the challenges and the unexpected or unanticipated challenges that might exist for trying to do more live productions. So we partnered with Leona, which is a fantastic consulting group, to come in and evaluate our position and what options do we have and how much media rights can we get. It was a significant investment to partner with them, one that turned out great for us. We 3x'd our media rights deal. We were able to add those sports. It affirmed for our folks that we are in the right spot and that Flo was the right solution for us. And after that evaluation, so I guess to answer your question, a little bit of political capital that I spent on the first part to get the initial one done. The first expansion, we had some help from Leona that got us there. And then our most recent expansion, actually it was a grassroots originated with our membership who said, Matt, do you think they would take more content? And I said, I was surprised to hear that question. And I said, I'm excited that you're asking it, and I bet it'll take us a very little amount of time to get a yes and get the number we need.
Right. How have you thought about the distribution of that revenue?
So the way we do it is it's based on sport. There's a base number that you get for sponsoring a sport if you hit a minimum number of contests, and then there's bonus dollars if you exceed the number of contests that are required of the base. And it makes it black and white, crystal clear. We run the number, and this is what you get. Everybody can anticipate and budget it. It's actually been really good for us. Some folks like to do it a different way, attribute viewer numbers, and people that have more viewers get more money, and that was just not the way we were going to go.
Interesting approach, or interesting way to think through the approach. Yeah. I imagine the membership being on board with that makes your job a lot easier, and especially with their buy-in.
A whole lot easier.
Yeah. One of the big things over the last year in Division II, you were a participant in the Division II think tank, which took place this past September. What were your takeaways being in the room for the priorities that the members in the room identified as the top priorities, and maybe some that you maybe didn't see eye to eye with?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It could be either way. Either you saw it more important, or others saw it more important than
I'll
you
just
did.
chase it a little bit.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah,
I hope that I answer them, and if I don't, bring me back to it, okay? First, thankful to the Division II staff for being able to do it, for Terry, Grown Steve, to see the need for this and to fund it and make it happen. I think it was valuable. I think the room was big, so it was difficult to think outside of traditional models. And I think we're in a space where we've got to think outside traditional models. And that may mean different things to different people. For me, one of the things that I would have really loved to talk about that we didn't, and now has gained traction, you'll note, is should Division II just grant 5 years of eligibility across the board? That was one of the suggestions that didn't get traction at the time. And I suspect when we get together in January of 26 in Washington, that legislation will either already be passed or we'll be voting on it. But I do think that we did focus in on nomenclature, positioning, what the division's all about, some of those things which were important. I just think that the room was large for us to think about transformational ideas. And so it felt like a half in, half out opportunity for us. But at the end of the day, I think we identified some things that we can operationalize, that we can make happen, which is important, right? If you're in a meeting where all they do is identify problems and we don't have any solutions and don't try to do anything at all, man, those are hard meetings to sit through. That was not what we had at the think tank. People brought solutions to the floor, ideas they wanted to talk about. I just wish we had thought a little bigger. And that's partly on me for being in the room and not helping guide that conversation that way.
Is that a conversation you think has happened more? And what's the forum for that conversation to be had in a productive manner to explain kind of all the sides and kind of also get the feedback for a broad enough audience that it makes sense, but not too big of an audience where it kind of gets lost in the shuffle of everything else?
Yeah, really good question. I think the Division II Commissioners group, the D2CCA, really is a really good group to do that. I think if Management Council can separate the roles of their council, which is move legislation forward, get reports, approve committee recommendations, if they can shift from governance to strategic thinking in every other meeting or so and be the strategic thinkers for us, I think that's the gap that we have in our governance structure, is that we don't have a group that is responsible for strategically thinking about the division and changes that we need to proactively look at. I think that responsibility often lies on the sport committees, who are overwhelmed with selections and tournament brackets and putting on great events within the governance structure. And then those of us that are outside the governance structure, it's hard to plug those ideas into it. So I don't think it's anybody's fault. I think the criticism is that the bureaucracy of the association makes it difficult to do things. We're seeing that at Division I, right? They would be much faster if, say, there were 4 of them that considered themselves, power, and they were able to make decisions. It seems like things move a lot faster when the 4 of them get in a room and decide to make decisions than when there's 30 in the room trying to make decisions. So I don't know what that group is. I just hope that we continue to try to be strategic in what we are and not just settle for, let's see how Division I shakes out and then we'll figure it out.
Who do you think that group should be?
The commissioners. I think that we have the best interests of the entire association in. I think that if there's no new group, right, I think there should be a new group. I would love to see a committee designated for strategic thinking and strategic plan review and all those sort of things. I think that would be a fantastic group, even if it's an ad hoc group, until we get over these hurdles that are facing higher ed and the association. But if we're going to have to do it in the existing group, either Management Council has to carve out some time and create those opportunities, or the division needs to trust the commissioners to raise issues and bring solutions, and then let the membership consider it through the governance structure. I'm not saying we make decisions, but give us some freeway and runway to be able to identify issues and bring them forward.
Interesting. Is that a potential? Do you feel that there's no form for that now in the
No,
or maybe there is, but it's not the optimal setup? Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, there is, but I think that we as commissioners run the risk of being noise sometimes, because I think that we want to tackle so many issues that maybe the really key issues get lost in a position paper or a recommendation. I don't think it's valuable for us to send 7 or 8 positions forward. We need to be focused on a few key ideas and really drill down on them, because otherwise, if the governance structure is consistently hearing, the commissioners recommended this and the commissioners took a position on that, I'm afraid that we run the risk of being noise, and then we're not productive in helping the situation. All we are is another layer of committee report outs. Let's not be that. Let's be a productive solution to the organization. So I think the structure will listen to us, but we've got to be open to collaborating with the governance staff, and the governance staff has to be open with collaborating with us, and we've got to find a way to do it within the existing governance structure.
Interesting. There's a lot there. What would you say are the few key positions that are in kind of that? I imagine there's a list of them. The key initial few positions that group would take.
Number one, we've got to get a handle on how eligibility is going to work, and name, image, and likeness, and revenue sharing, how it's going to impact us. I still don't think we have a clear picture on how any of that impacts us, and what the potential impact of Division I's decisions on the association's operations are going to mean, right? I mean, if student athletes are declared employees because of the decisions of Division I, that is a really difficult blow for our institutions to take. and where are we getting some support on that? I think that's important. I think the future of the Division II championship structure, how many sports, how many opportunities, what are our bracket sizes, are we investing correctly in it? I think that's super important. And then how do we make Division II membership attractive to future members? We need to be ready because we know higher ed is in a difficult situation. There are certainly going to be small private institutions close in the next year. It's assuredly. I hope that there's none in the NCAA, but almost assuredly that's going to happen. And if they don't close, they're going to merge. And if they don't merge, they're going to cut sports. Or they're going to add sports, and then we're going to have to figure out how to do championships. It's just such a difficult time. So finding out how to make membership attractive, doubling down on championship opportunities and experiences for our student athletes, and then what do we do with the mess that the association's in as it relates to our financials and student athlete employment and student athlete rights as it relates to the money.
How do you think about leading the GSC through all of that and more?
So hard. I'm thankful for the opportunity and that they trust me to be a good steward of the conference, and I'm in my 11th year, so been new challenges. I remember pre-COVID thinking, man, I'd sure like something a little different to work on, and boy, was that a mistake. So I'm real thankful to be able to do that, and I hope that I can be a leader nationally too, not only in the Gulf South, but my priority is to those member institutions. And we have our own unique challenges. We're going to be down to 4 football schools next year, and that's an untenable number. So we either have to find partners who want to collaborate, or we've got to find new members, or we've got to hold our nose and do some formats that are not conducive to a conference that expects to play in the national championship game every year. And we've had somebody in the national championship game, I think 9 of the last 10 national championships. That's who we are, and it's threatened right now. And so I'm working every day to try to help fix some of that, which is a big challenge. And the challenge is that not everybody sees Division II athletics the same way, right? I don't think that some of the smaller private institutions always see it the same way as some of the mid-sized regional institutions on what Division II is going to accomplish. And what that's created is conferences with very different values and very different opinions on how to run operations. We're really lucky in the Gulf South. We have 5 private institutions that are really strong. They're committed to winning. They're committed to using athletics as more than just an enrollment driver. And while enrollment management is a key issue for all of our schools, it's not the only issue. And I think that's one of the things that is beginning to separate conferences in the division is how institutions are featuring athletics. It's an enrollment management issue, tool for everybody. But is it that the primary goal of your athletics department, or is that a benefit of your athletics department? I think those are 2 different things.
How do you think the division can almost coexist with those 2 different mantras, those 2 different philosophies within the same division?
I think
it obviously has been for a little while.
I think it works in a lot of sports. It can work, right? Because it's okay. In a basketball, there's 64 teams. We're going to play. It's going to be great. Basketball is a terrific tournament sport, right? And baseball, it looks good, and some of this sort of stuff. Football is the challenge. It's a small bracket. There's only 28 teams in the bracket. We're going to go to AQ. There's going to be 4 conferences in every one. That means in this SR2, which is our league, there's 11, 15, and 7 is 22. Sorry, doing the math as we go. And there's about 34 to 36 teams. Okay, so you're going to get 4 AQs, so you're down to 32 teams, right? Competing for 3 playoff spots. What kind of experience is that for those student athletes? It's not the same one our basketball and baseball and softball and soccer players are receiving, where they know there's opportunities for at-larges with success. And that's where some of the tension is, because some of those AQs are going to go to conferences that are featuring teams that are enrollment management teams, and that's what they are. Their investment is not to go make a deep playoff run, and that's a frustrating thing in a sport like football where the opportunities are limited. But we want to be good partners in the division and the association, and I think we're going to get to AQs and we're going to support it, and we're going to work tirelessly to see that bracket expanded and provide more opportunities at large for those schools that see the value in football.
To push back a little bit.
Yeah.
Isn't having representation kind of a core tenet in Division II?
Yeah. Oh, I love the representation. I think the bracket's too small. I'm all for
the
it.
two things need to happen
I
together.
think they need to happen together. And right now it's set up as it always reminds me of when people fought over the Affordable Health Care Act, right? You'll know what's in it after you pass it. Well, what we hear on the AQ is after you pass it, then I promise you we'll get to 32. Well, is that 32 in 2028, 2029, 2030? Not at all. I just felt like they needed to be together. I love the opportunity for folks to get that chance, but I really feel like taking away those additional at-large spots in such a small bracket was detrimental to D2 football. But I think 32 in AQs is a great number.
Okay. Your own membership, as you mentioned, you're going down to 4 football playing schools as Conference Carolinas comes on with its own football league, and we saw Mississippi College Cup football recently.
That's right.
How are you and your presidents thinking through finding the right members to fit into your league, given the values you stated?
Yeah, it's really difficult. It's really difficult. So our focus is on a few things. One, we want people that want to compete at a high level. One of the trademarks of the Gulf South Conference, our 3 pillars are compete, graduate, impact. We're going to compete for regional and national championships. We're going to provide a pathway of graduation for all of our folks, and we're going to impact our communities today and tomorrow. So those are the 3 things that help guide our membership decisions too. We want people that are going to compete and win regional and national championships. And that means we're going to get better. We want people that are committed to winning. If you come into our league and don't think there's a single sport you could finish in the top 2 or 3 in, I'm not sure you're a great fit for the Gulf South Conference. However, we also need to balance geography and travel expenses are incredible for our institutions. How can we best balance geography and our scheduling philosophies to help reduce those travel costs for them and make it make sense? So the tension between those 2 things is what we're managing, but those seem to be 2 really important things. And the third would be institutional identity and fit. When we added Trevecca just a couple years ago, it was the first time I'd ever gone on campus for an expansion visit where we had a dedicated time with the chief financial officer to go over the books. It just had never occurred that an institution would be in bad enough financial shape that we might have to think about that. Trevecca's books were great, and it was good, but we had decided we have to have them open them up for us because of the uncertainty in the higher ed landscape when it comes to private and small regional publics. And that's the first time we'd ever done it. Trevecca was great, and obviously they came in, so we were very satisfied with where they are at as an institution, but that was the first time we'd ever had to do that. And that's something you're going to have to continue to do because we want them to be fiscally viable. And that's part of institutional fit is being fiscally viable.
All right, so we talked about the membership side of this. What is the timeline for evaluating members and potentially adding new members?
You're always looking at membership constantly, and as soon as an opportunity comes up, you've got to strike and got to hit on it. So what I would tell you is we're probably chasing 5 or 6 parallel tracks with multiple institutions and composition of GSC and sports sponsorship and all the things. Sooner the better. But you have to have some patience in these things. Things don't move as quick as folks on the outside always think they do. There's a lot of legwork to get there, but I'm hopeful that we can have some answers to the football stuff so that our schools have some certainty for their 26 season. We're great in 25. We need to get them some answers for 26. And once we have some football answers, I think the other answers will start tumbling into place.
Excellent. Matt, thank you so much for providing the insights. Thank you so much.
This has been fun. I look forward to the next time.